All right, let's decode Tkinter layouts. Today, we're diving into grid, pack, and place. You've sent over some really helpful articles and tutorials, and our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to help you pick the perfect layout for your project.
It's like choosing the right tool, from your coding toolkit. Each layout method has its own strengths, and that makes it ideal for different scenarios.
Okay, yeah, well, let's unpack this. Let's start with grid. From what I'm seeing in these articles, it sounds like grid is like the go-to for structured layouts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine designing a calculator app. Grid would be perfect for that.
Right.
For arranging those number buttons in a neat grid, like a 4x3 grid. It lets you place widgets in rows and columns, just like a spreadsheet.
So I want that, like, clean, organized look grid is my best bet.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, but what about situations where I need something a little more flexible, something a bit more free-flowing? That's where pack comes in, right?
Exactly. Think of it like arranging furniture, right? You add widgets one after another, and then Tkinter handles the arrangement based on the order you add them in. You can control how they fill and expand within their container, too.
So pack is more intuitive,
Yeah.
especially for, like, simpler designs.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
It's like adding ingredients to a recipe. You decide the order, Tkinter does the mixing.
And just like with a recipe, you can adjust the flavor. You can use options like fill and expand. These give you finer control over how widgets use the available space. So for instance, you could use fill X to make a button stretch horizontally.
Interesting. So if I wanted, say, a search bar to span the entire width of my app,
Yeah.
fill X in a pack layout would make that happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Now, place. Place sounds intriguing. It's all about precision, right?
Precisely. Place gives you absolute control. You can specify exact pixel coordinates for each widget, like it's like pinning a thumbtack on a bulletin board. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Okay, good.
So if I need a button, like at a very specific spot, say 50 pixels from the left and 100 pixels from the top, place is the tool for the job.
Exactly.
That sounds powerful, but maybe a bit more complex than grid or pack.
It can be, yeah. Place offers more control, but it requires a bit more attention to detail. However, for situations where you need that pixel-perfect precision, like, let's say you're designing custom dialog boxes or graphical elements, place is invaluable.
Yeah. Okay, this is really helpful. It's like having different maps for different terrains. So grid is my structured city grid, pack is my flexible road trip, and place is my off-road adventure.
That's a great analogy, yeah. Each layout method offers a distinct approach, and understanding your strengths will help you make more informed decisions for your Tkinter projects. Now let's dive into some finer details. We talked about grid being structured. One of the cool things about grid is this concept of anchor points.
Okay.
Think of them like magnets that pull your widget to a specific spot within its grid cell.
Okay, so if I have like a label in a grid cell, I can use the anchor option to make it stick to the top left corner
The center.
or any other position.
Exactly. You have that fine-grained control over alignment within each cell. And speaking of control, Pack has its own set of tools.
Right.
You already mentioned fill, which controls how a widget expands to take up space.
Right, like using fill X to make the search bar stretch horizontally.
Now, expand works hand in hand with fill. It determines whether a widget gets extra space when the parent widget resizes.
Okay.
If you want a widget to stay the same size, you wouldn't use expand. But if you want it to grow or shrink proportionally, expand is your friend.
So fill is about how a widget fills its current space, and expand is about how it reacts when that space changes.
Precisely.
Okay.
These options give you a lot of flexibility in designing layouts that adapt to different window sizes. Now, shifting gears to place. We've discussed absolute positioning using pixel coordinates, but place also allows for relative positioning using relics and
Oh, okay. So instead of saying place this button 100 pixels from the left, I could say place it 25% from the left edge of the window using recls.
Exactly. Relcas and rely are incredibly useful for creating layouts that, scale gracefully. They allow you to position widgets proportionally to the parent window's dimensions, ensuring things stay consistent even when the window size changes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This is reminding me of like when I first learned about responsive web design. It's like the same principles apply here in Tkinter to create UIs that look good on any screen size.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Designing for different screen sizes is crucial, and Tkinter's layout options equip you to handle that challenge effectively.
Now, with all these tools at our disposal, How do we choose the right layout method for a project? It feels a bit like having a toolbox full of different hammers.
Right.
They all hammer, but some are better for specific tasks.
Hmm.
You're right. It's all about choosing the right tool for the job. So how do we decide which layout is the right one?
That's where, understanding the strengths of each layout method comes in. Let's say you're building a form with labels and entry fields. A classic scenario. Grid would be your best friend there.
Mm.
It's perfect for those structured, grid-like layouts, where everything needs to line up neatly.
So when in doubt, grid it out.
For structured layouts, absolutely.
Okay.
But what about those cases where you don't need that much structure? Maybe something a bit more free-flowing, like a toolbar with
Yeah.
buttons.
Right, yeah. Something less rigid.
In those cases, pack might be the more intuitive choice. It's great for simpler layouts where you want to quickly add widgets. And let Tkinter handle the spacing. You want to add a button? No problem. Pack it in.
Pack it in, I like that. So grid for structure, pack for simplicity, and place, I'm guessing, is our precision instrument
Yeah.
for those, special cases.
You got it. Use place when you need pixel-perfect precision,
Wow.
or when you're dealing with layouts that just don't fit neatly into a grid or a simple packing order. For example, if you're creating a custom dialog box, with elements placed at very specific positions, place gives you that level of control.
This has been incredibly helpful. I'm feeling much more confident about tackling Tkinter layouts now.
That's great to hear. Remember, practice makes perfect. Don't be afraid to experiment with different layout methods and see what works best for you.
Experimentation, the coder's best friend. This deep dive has given us a solid understanding of Tkinter layouts, grid, pack, and place. And with this knowledge, we're well equipped to create some amazing user interfaces. Thanks for joining us, and happy coding!